Oh my god. BooTube, I'm sorry. Well, for one, I'm too quiet, cause tis midnight. 9 more minutes and we'll be 1 o'clock in the morning. and, what else? People be sleeping, and I'm trying to adjust the stupid camera. And if you guys don't know what this hat is based off of, shame on every single one of you, especially if you're a sci-fi lover. Cause longest lasting sci-fi in the whole freaking universe right now, and if you don't know what this is, shame on all of you. Shame. But anyway, what you call it? This is my reaction rant to Arrow Season 5, Episode 3, titled A Matter of Trust. I thought this was a hilarious episode. I'm gonna start off with the flashbacks so I could get them out of the way. Like, the main part of the flashback basically was that one guy, that one Russian guy that Oliver knew. What was it, Anatoly or something like that? Yeah, apparently that all the flashback sequences involving Oliver is basically Anatoly basically teaching Oliver to trust his brothers in the Bratva, to the point where you even see, like, he trusts them to freaking put like 1 billion cuts on the same part of his back, like each of them took like a freaking dagger looking sword thing and they all cut him in one spot on his back, and it's like, oh no, Oliver, I know you're supposed to be in the Bratva, but that's just but anyway, apparently there's this new designer drug going by the name of Stardust, and I thought it was pretty funny when I heard that. I was like, Stardust, what an interesting name for a recreational drug in this episode. But then as the episode went, kept going, I understood why they named it Stardust. Because, see, Green Arrow's teaching them ever since they took them to, actually, on second thought, that didn't happen yet, did it? Sorry, that happened in this episode. Spoiler alert. But, Green Arrow's been investigating the new designer drug Stardust, and he's been doing it alone because he doesn't believe his new team, which is Wild Dog, Bragman, Curtis, and God, I forgot that girl's name already. But apparently she was casted as Artemis, so I'm just gonna go leave her by Artemis. He doesn't believe those 4 are ready, right? He brought them in, but he still doesn't think they're ready to go out with him, right? And he's also informed that this apparent archer named Prometheus wants to kill him too at the same time. So, of course, Renee, aka Wild Dog, has always been like butting heads. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust myself. You know how like Renee, aka Wild Dog, has always been butting heads with Oliver since the beginning. And of course, he doesn't like the fact that Green Arrow, or aka Oliver, does not, let the team go out and investigate with him, right? And so he's pretty much defying all orders because, Oliver tells him, don't go out, I'll do this on my own. But of course, Renee being Renee defied that order and even tricked poor Evelyn, her name's Evelyn, sorry. Evelyn, that one girl that's on the team, he managed to trick Evelyn into coming with him. He's like, oh, it's just reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. I can't even pronounce that word. That is reconnaissance. You know what? He tricked her in saying, you know what, we're just gonna watch them. We're not gonna do anything. We won't. But of course, he brought his mask. He was like, and the reason why they were there was because Renee was pretty pissed off because he told Oliver, hey, let me go out on the streets. I know the streets better than you. I know every nook and cranny. I could probably find that new drug Stardust and the supplier within minutes, right? Which he does have a point, because Renee does know the streets pretty well, probably even better than Oliver, right? And of course, at that moment, Oliver said no, right? Because apparently he's not trusting his team. So that's what prompted Renee to defy orders and basically go off on his own to look for the Stardust and the supplier person and drag Evelyn with him. Now, this is the reason why I thought the name of the new designer drug in this episode was pretty interesting, especially when I found out who the supplier was. Apparently the supplier, the character name is Derek Sampson, okay? And he's the one that's been making this new designer drug, Stardust. But I was like, why does this guy look oddly familiar? So I looked up the person who is playing Derek Sampson, the Stardust drug dealer, and it's none other. Oh god, hang on. Where is it? I had a window open, there you go. It's none other than Cody Rhodes. And if you don't know who Cody Garrett Runnels is, he's a professional American wrestler who is currently performing for the Ring of Honor and Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. And he previously worked in the WWE under the name Cody Rhodes, and then later he worked in the WWE as Stardust. And if you have been following Stephen Amell, who plays Oliver Queen, and his social networks, you will know who exactly Stardust is, because he has a good chunk of pictures concerning Stardust. So I'm not gonna get into that. You follow Stephen Amell, guys. But yeah, Cody Rhodes, who plays the character Derek Sampson, was in the WWE, and his alias was Stardust, which is the name of this designer drug that his character Derek Sampson is apparently supplying, which I thought was hilariously adorable that they did that, by the way. But anyway, Renee and Evelyn end up, finding Derek Sampson's little base of operations, and as they attempt to, bust them, the bust goes horribly wrong because, Evelyn's fighting off some of the people there while, Derek Sampson and Renee are going one-on-one, well, Wild Dog's going one-on-one, and they end up in this one place. You've seen... I'm gonna make a reference to Batman. You know that whole Joker backstory on how, he actually fell in a bed of chemicals kind of thing, right? It's kind of like that, because when Wild Dog was fighting Derek, they're fighting up in this giant walkway thing, suspended above a bunch of chemicals. They pierced one of the pipes above them, and some of the fluids there went in the chemicals, turned it a different color. And as they were fighting, unfortunately, unintentionally, Renee managed to get Derek Sampson to fall into the mixed chemicals down below them. And yeah, it was assumed that Derek Sampson was dead. They even had him in an autopsy room. But all of a sudden, he ends up coming back from the dead, and he doesn't feel any pain whatsoever. So basically, Derek Sampson ends up falling in the chemical bath, presumed dead, comes apparently back to life, and he ends up with superhuman strength and the inability to feel any pain. So you can shoot him, stab him, doesn't feel diddly squat, right? And of course Oliver's pissed off because he heard about this apparently from this new district attorney named Adrian Chase, and he meets this new DA, and he's like, oh, by the way, yeah, we were going to catch this Derek Sampson guy, but we can't now because he's presumed dead, apparently by another vigilante in a hockey mask. And of course, Oliver already knows who he is, and of course, Oliver gets pissed off, and there are some words. I won't get too much into it, but you could tell, that Renee feels, obviously, he's mad about it, but at the same time, you could tell he somewhat feels bad about it, because, of course, at that time, before, we found out that Derek developed superhuman powers, right? He was presumed dead. So in Renee's eyes, he accidentally killed somebody. Granted, he was a drug dealer, but he still killed the bastard, right? Oh, I just cursed. YouTube, please don't give me an X. That was an accident. I'm sorry. I won't say that word again. X, do not X me, please. I love you. Man, I just started. Don't hurt me. Man, anyway, going back to that new DA, apparently, not only did Oliver learn about Derek Sampson presumably getting killed by, Renee, this new DA convinces Oliver that, you know, he cannot trust his new recruits, because obviously Renee is the reason why Derek Sampson is presumably dead by chemical bath. And I looked up the name Adrian Chase, mainly because it did sound familiar, not that much. But when I looked him up, I found him under the name of DC superhero name Vigilante. And if you guys don't know Vigilante, everyone knows the original Vigilante by the name of Greg Saunders. And Greg Saunders, the very first Vigilante, was part of the Seven Soldiers of Victory, the All-Star Squadron, and he was a brilliant marksman, master of lariats, superb hand-to-hand combat, and an excellent horseman. Like I said, the very first person to take up the name Vigilante was Greg Saunders, and he was so well known as Vigilante that he appeared in a lot of media, like Greg Saunders' Vigilante appeared in Justice League Unlimited, and he also, Greg Saunders' version of Vigilante also makes an appearance in like a teaser in that one animated show, Batman the Brave and the Bold. And yeah, most of the appearances of Vigilante were animated, 2 animated shows, and they were both the Greg Saunders version, which is the version. The Vigilante that we've been seeing has only appeared in 2 medias, which is 2 animation shows, which is Justice League Unlimited and Batman Brave and the Bold, and it's the Greg Saunders version. But apparently, the second person to get the mantle of Vigilante is none other than the one we're seeing here in the show, Adrian Chase, who didn't appear as Vigilante till 1983's New Teen Titans Annual number 2. And I'm not going to get too much into it, because the one I know is the first one, which is of course Greg. But yeah, Adrian Chase is apparently in the comics the second person to take up the mantle of Vigilante. So that was pretty cool learning that. I was like, oh, sick! There was another person besides Greg that was Vigilante, and we are seeing him here in his very first appearance ever. We've seen Greg Saunders appear twice, but that's in animation. This is the first time we're seeing not only seeing Vigilante in live action, this is the first time we're seeing Adrian Chase's version of Vigilante in media. So it's pretty cool that we're seeing that. Getting back to it, Felicity, you know, despite Oliver having doubts about his new recruits, Felicity reminds him that all his new members, they all have unique talents. They're all different in their own special way, just like, you know, the previous team. They were all different in their own special way, and yes, they're all different, but if you bring them together, they will work as a unit, right? And each of their separate individual gifts will complement each other if you put them together in a team and let them help you, right? And she also says, you know, they have to bring them together because he needs to recognize that he needs to build trust within the team, because yes, you showed your identity to them, but that's not enough to help them, you know, have that trust between you and the new team, right? So while that's happening, we're having some major stuff happening with Diggle. Diggle is incarcerated. Remember, he was falsely accused by his own superior, right? And he's incarcerated, and as he's incarcerated in the jail, he starts talking to none other than Floyd Lawton. If you guys remember, Floyd Lawton is none other than Deadshot himself. And we're like, when I first saw him, I was like, Deadshot alive? He escaped the explosion? What? So I was like, I was in shock. Not only was apparently Floyd Lawton, when I first saw this scene, not only was Floyd Lawton apparently alive, but he was Diggle's cellmate. And I was like, okay, this is happening. But anyway, I am running out of time. I'll see you in part 2, which most likely will finish this. So I'll see you soon, BookTube.